Hey, there we go. Finally. Jesus. Right. Let's show the link. Are we actually playing? Next question. Well, perfect. There we go. Right, we can start the MC report. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
As you know, the first seconds of the podcast always take a bit of time to get going. Today more than ever for some reason.
Yeah.
Because of some technical issues, but that doesn't matter. We got it working, and we are back for another LOC report. I'm joined again by the co-host Chris Leach, who should be somewhere else right now, but isn't. How are you doing?
Well,
Chris
I didn't realise that until I was here. So I'd rather be here,
Exactly.
broadcasting to all of you people who, let's be honest, spend some of their evening anyway.
Yes.
Listening to Nathan and mostly me ramble on about your team. So
Not that we really know anything.
we don't know anything. Well, no.
Well, personally.
Look at our records.
In a general scope, we know much, but in a micro scale, not so much.
That's it. No. So thanks for surviving 8, 9, 10 weeks or whatever it is now.
Yeah.
Of what we're saying. I mean, ultimately, it's very, very nice. Look at this.
Yes.
Look how relaxed we are these days.
You can't see, but the room has had an upgrade behind the camera.
Yeah.
And it will continue to be tweaked and tinkered, and we're nearly done. So maybe by this time next week, you'll see the final version of this room.
Huge. That's all I can say.
But that's next week. Today.
That's it.
Today we are at an important point in the season because we've just gone past week 7 and we enter week 8. That is the midway point of the regular season.
The Battle of Midway.
The Monsters of the Midway is
Monsters of the Midway.
is the name of the show. So that's what we'll be covering today, the all-important look back at week 7 and preview of week 8. And we do really start to get a bit of more of a shape of a playoff picture.
Yes.
So we'll just go through that. But we'll go into the league news straight away. So let's do that. So we didn't actually cover this a few weeks ago, but we should have. Tom's Tyrants traded Chris Carson to Obi-Wan Kenobi for Kenny Golladay. I think we may have touched on it last week, but we didn't properly discuss it. That did happen during our bye week, so that was a pretty interesting trade. I think we covered last week who we think got the better end of that trade in the weekly recaps. There was also another trade this weekend. It was me and my dad. I traded Jordan Howard and Mitchell Trubisky, or Mitch Trubisky, whatever iteration of Mitch he decides to go by, for Carson Wentz and Devin Funchess. So that trade went down as well. Quick feedback on that trade.
So if you like the Chicago Bears, then you're going to like that trade.
He's the best fan.
That's it, exactly that. So I think that, as was proven this weekend, though he didn't have the greatest of games, he seemed to have an all-action game.
Yeah,
so fantasy-wise as well, it was great points total. So I think that's a lot to look forward to. And Jordan Howard is obviously not firing all of a sudden. It's not particularly consistent this year, but
it's difficult for me having obviously been the owner of Howard. Is I think he's a great player. I think he's a great workhorse back. But we're seeing Chicago use a spread offense, which those type of running backs, the Adrian Petersons of the world, do not fit well into.
No,
it's a round peg in a square hole.
That's why you see Tariq Cohen sort of taking over somewhat. But I think that there's a lot to like on the other side as well. I think Funchess has got plenty of potential.
Yeah.
Especially, there's not too many targets there now. Big targets.
No, especially with Olsen slowing down as well.
Right, exactly that.
He is really shaping up as a strong receiver. Wentz is a solid QB too.
Very much so.
But moving on to the transactions now, in the wake of that trade, shelling out some of the draft holdovers from my team that we were talking on the way. It's one of these things when a draft pick, it's a very difficult mental block to get over cutting a player you drafted.
Yes, agreed. Yeah.
The higher it is as well, the harder it is because you think, there's that investment, there's value there. But sometimes you just got to do it, and this was one for me. I cut Lamar Miller.
Yep.
He's really been just piss poor the entire season, which you'll agree with.
Yep.
And I haven't even been playing him.
Yep.
Up to this, indeed. So I cut him, and of course, the second he leaves my team, after being trying to trade him for it feels like months now, he goes off and has a 16-point game against one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Yes, that's it.
Go figure, people.
What's that?
So I and probably everyone else put in a bid on Lamar Miller. But Tuckfards were the one to get him, $50. Now, we knew some money was going to be spent on him because he is a starting running back. It's fair to say. That's not necessarily means you get fantasy value, but he does get the opportunity, which is a key thing in fantasy. However, $50 is what was paid. Your take on that?
Look, it's a lot. It's a lot for one player who's not going to set the world alight. I'm going to say this. This is a proviso that he doesn't do well. 50 will look laughable. However, this is Phil, and in the past, Phil's picked up players, and for some reason, they've been picked up at just the right time, and they seem to play well on Phil's team. And I have a gut feeling that this may be one of them, because for some reason I don't know what it is. He just works with Phil Merritt magic. He's going to get Lamar Miller because scoring, I don't know, let's say 40 points over the next 3 weeks, and he'll win 3 games.
That's over 3 weeks, not 40 points in each of the 3 weeks.
No, exactly that. Yeah, so
it's just
that won't happen. But yeah, let's say he scores 40 points over 3 weeks, and it's worth the investment.
Yeah, sure. And we'll spend a little more time on this. So I actually read an interesting Reddit post which was saying that Miller is pretty much the same player he has been for the Texans, which is a fairly solid RB2 flex running back.
Yep.
But this year, he hasn't changed, but the things around him have.
Yeah. Mainly
the offensive line, which has really caused his poor production, which in theory you wouldn't think would change. Donta Foreman coming back puts a dent in it as well. So it's not so much Miller being a bad player, it's the offensive line being worse.
That's it, absolutely. And he will occasionally have good games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's still very much the only one
opportunity.
There. But it's a serious amount of coin to invest in a player that's very flaky, week in week out.
Second touchdown of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want an RB1 at this point of the season, you can't really do anything else but buy one like that.
Yeah,
or trade for one.
Yeah.
So when you see the opportunity, you've got to take it. But it's an unprecedented amount of coin to spend, especially at this point of the year.
Definitely. They dropped Javoris Sam for that though. Next, Tuckfards added Kansas City defense. No one probably thought they would be on a fantasy roster this season for $8. And they had a roster spot open. I'm not sure who they play this week, but it can't be anyone good.
Let's find out.
Oh yeah, we can click on it.
We can do this now.
We can do this. So if we scroll down, let's take a look here. They're playing Denver. It's a curious decision.
It is rather, because there has to be a better choice out
there. There very much is, but we'll press on anyway. Okay. Ben necessities had the Steelers D for $5. They play Cleveland. There's a better choice already.
There we go.
And they dropped Detroit Lions. But then adds Chris Herndon, Titan for the New York Jets. He's emerged a bit. $4, and they dropped Mike.
Again, someone you wouldn't expect ever. I think there's Badge. I think that's the
Badgley. Whatever.
The replacement kicker for the Chargers.
There you go.
Wow.
Tom Torrance added Case Keenum for $1 and dropped Austin Hooper, presumably a star's on a buy. Kami Fairbairn added by the Dream Team for $0 and they dropped Jake Elliott. Tuckfards added Matt Prater, for $0 and they dropped Brett Mayer.
We got one more trade actually we've overlooked.
Oh,
between Ollie and Ben.
Sorry, there was that also happened in the stadium on Sunday. Yes, good shout. So it was James White for Alshon Jeffrey.
Correct.
So
solves Ben's running back problem, and Ollie gets a great receiver that Ben wasn't using anyway.
Definitely.
Good trade for all.
Yeah. At the moment, I have seen rumblings that the Eagles may try and trade for another receiver.
Oh, really?
Nice. So, yeah, we'll see.
Jeffrey's on the block.
Ooh. No. Jeffrey's fine.
Oh.
Eagles trying to bring in another
receiver.
I see.
So it's not okay. Yeah. Well, they do need one.
Yeah. Nelson Aguilar is not a sufficient number 2 receiver.
No.
Ben also added Chris Ivory and dropped just Doxson. Sean McCoy has a concussion, so Ivory will play probably at least this week. So, but he is playing New England, so bear that in mind. That's all your transactions. So if we take a quick Actually, you know what? Let's cover off injuries in the previews. Let's speed up the podcast a bit. You can all go check injuries yourself. I don't need to do this for you. It's also Wednesday.
We will cover this as we go.
Yeah,
if there's someone who's obviously crocked,
in your starting lineup, we
must change this.
Mention it. Yeah, so we will just press on then. No other news other than it was the Wembley game last weekend, but we will look at the last week's games and cover that bit off as well. Because I believe this game was the marquee matchup, unfortunately for you, Chris.
Yeah, I know, but I don't feel quite so sad as I...
No, as you can see, it was a great game here, folks at home. Tom did take a tremendously great lead, as you can see. He pretty much got all his points by the end of the 6 o'clock games. Meanwhile, all of your points seemingly started to come after the end of those games. And it actually turned out to a close game, 119 to 113. You couldn't quite stage the comeback, however. If we look down here, not on the recap, please, because we let Chris do his recap. We have a new timer, which you can even see on screen now.
There it is,
which I will move slightly further.
You can hear me for a whole 24 minutes of this podcast, right? Okay, so let's talk about. Look, a lot of the points are pretty similar here. Both of our running backs pretty much let us down on the day. Our QB was pretty much the same. Our receivers were pretty much the same. So we get to defense. Defense. And the Colts against the
can I just
Bills.
ask what A, that, and B, decision to leave Ravens in against Saints was an interesting one.
I didn't have much bench space.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Is my problem. And there wasn't really any credible alternative. I did check afterwards and so I was kind of pushed into a corner slightly. And I must admit, I didn't think I would ever win this game. I must admit.
Yeah, I think we both, rooted for your team, kind of based on the matchups, not talent.
It needed a touchdown somewhere, and yes, there were plenty. It just required one running back touchdown. It required Sterling Shepard to score a touchdown. It required just something else along the line, but it didn't quite work out. However, Tom's Tyrants march on, and mainly because of their defense, and Emmanuel Sanders' free game.
Yep.
Which is becoming less of a freak recently.
No, because he's definitely been the receiver to one.
That's right. We've not seen some nice games from Trey Burton recently. He's kind of living up to the hype. Nick Chubb's nice spot starting there, straight off the waivers and straight in for 14 points.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say as well, Rivers, maybe a bit of a fluky 24 there. Two big plays in London.
Big plays in London.
And on your side, I really like the start of Baker Mayfield, even with the ankle injury. That took a bit of guts. It always takes a bit of guts to play a new Cleveland player.
Yes, it does.
Especially a Cleveland quarterback. So, absolutely.
he repaid my faith.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it wasn't quite enough, but it's because of the Colts D, not because of anything else.
Exactly. Tom Cyrus moved to 5-2. You dropped to 3-4. History of this matchup now moves to, if we can pick up the page, 3-8 in favour of Tom's Tyrants. So history repeats itself yet again, folks. Which is going to be a common theme as I was entering it earlier. We will see. We should always just side with those numbers because they were always right for some reason. Next up then is the Dream Team against the Detonators. So as you can see here, this one finished 110-96 in favour of the Dream Team. Again, it was pretty close game all throughout. Look right there. You can see back and forth almost, or certainly close throughout the entire weekend. But it was really the end of the 9 p.m. games, primetime games, where the difference was made by Viv as he jumped out and Ollie could not stage the Monday night comeback with Saquon Barkley. Let's hide that. Let's keep the chart because we use it. Chris, you now have your 2 minutes, please.
Oh, 2 minutes, there it is. Right, okay, so again very similar in this game to the last. So kicker indeed, very similar. QB, very similar. And then we get down to some real key players, and I think Viv, over the last couple of weeks, he's heard my calls. He's heard my calls. He said, Viv doesn't only has one running back. Well, this week he very much had two.
Yeah.
And that's the difference here.
Yeah,
absolutely right. McCaffrey, we'll see some games from him when the Panthers aren't really firing.
Eagles is a tough D, especially in
away.
Lincoln Financial.
That's right.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, and then you've got two fairly useful running backs there. Yeldon and Kamara for the Dream Team. Obviously, his receivers have got big. Thielen's a big boost this year for any fantasy team.
Yeah.
So you know what you're going to get from him. What's on the other side, unfortunately, for all the good that Thielen does, Stephon Diggs does not do.
Yeah, and at the start of the season, it was like there was a whole debate about Thielen Diggs. My personal take was that they'd probably level out. I mean, let's pop open Stephon Diggs. We obviously know what Thielen's been doing. It's crazy record-breaking things. And Diggs has had some decent games, but this is very much the kind of player you expect with Diggs. He is the more feast of famine variety, whereas Thielen is that steady
absolutely
guy.
Right. And so yeah, you know, and I like the fact that Viv's team is now becoming that sort of consistent team.
Yeah.
I don't like it quite so much when Yeldon doesn't play. As I've said before, when Fournette comes back and also got Carlos Hyde there now, so that's going to turn into quite an ugly committee, I think.
Especially when Fournette comes back.
Indeed. But when
whatever,
exactly that. But for the time being, taking advantage of it, getting the wins under the belt, and it's working in his division. But I still say that even with that sort of consistency, there are better teams in the league. But Viv, it's much improved from last year, so well done, Chief.
Yep, good job. You are also 5-2 now with Tom, and Ollie falls to 3-4. History of this matchup, like I said, history holds true. But Ednader's 5-8 now against the Dream Team. Next game then, Ben Assistis took on Ixan in the week's snooze fest.
Hitched the caravan up. This is the pikiest win I've ever seen in my life. Oh wow!
So two teams vying to keep up in the division. Ixan just about does it, winning 3 on the trot with a very subpar 75 to 70, outlasting as we could see. Was not great all weekend long. Ben Assistis tried to pull it back but couldn't quite do so. And we'll take a quick look. They did have the points on the bench to do so. Mitch Trubisky, and had they not pulled off the trade with me, played Jordan Howard, they would have been playing Marlon Mack and they would have won the game comfortably. So that's very unfortunate. But be that as may, please, Chris, don't feel free to use the whole 2 minutes to review this game.
I really won't. I mean, what's there to say?
James White. But actually, to be fair, they did just trade for him. So that's a good pick-up. And this week, it's a trade that cost someone to get him and a trade that won someone to get him.
This is true. I mean, yeah, exactly that. And I have to say that you expect more from Ben Assistis' players. I mean, we've seen this team go for like 125 points. I got whacked for that against them earlier on in the season.
I mean, Michelle did get injured in the game.
That's
which
right.
You have to factor in.
Exactly that, which you do, and he's been really, really good for them over the last few weeks. But yeah, you're right. Had they not have pulled this trade off and played Jordan Howard instead, then yes, they would have. But Marlon Mack's been very streaky all year, so you can't really argue with that. A lot of players there that could have done better. You think of Golden Tate, who's in.
Tyler Boyd against Kansas City. That was an odd game. I watched that game.
That's right, exactly that. Kelsey's gone for nice yardage, but no touchdown again. That makes the difference. On the other side, Ben is very, very, very fortunate with that.
Yeah. So I mean, the biggest thing here, fortunate to win. James White, we've already said, the Hopkins and Joker was a nice day. Behind that, not a lot else. But the biggest thing, which really slammed Ben on,
right.
and he is extremely lucky for it not to have costed him, is the Blake Bortles play, which we all knew, was a complete piss away of $17.
Agreed.
And it nearly cost him a game because he got benched.
This is quite right. Yeah, to put in 1.5 points. Over three of the 4 quarters, it's just not on. So, yes, unfortunately, Ben will come across teams that will be a little less lenient and won't leave the points on the bench necessarily. But yeah, the luck award this year really does go to this team because look at you look at the record they've got so far. You think how on earth they got there? Exactly that.
Yeah. We obviously criticised them picking up the Jets last week, Ben, for $18. Don't know if that was to cover for next week's game. Let's just see who the matchup is now. Is that sprung back into my mind while you were talking there? Play Chicago this week. I really still don't know what that ad is about. 2 perplexing moves. And like you say, very fortunate to win another one. History of this matchup, Ben Assistis now 3-9 all time against Ixan. I told you, we need to just go with these numbers.
How? Exactly. I don't get it.
No. Next game then, Gridiron Gang took on Tuckpods. Gridiron Gang still seeking their first win. It looked good early on, but it really petered out when the Tuckpods core players, the Holy Trinity, as Chris likes to say, turned up, started playing. Gridiron Gang falls 74 to 123, and I don't have the Denver defense hanging on my conscience now. As you can see here, I did, in fact, it was close to the start. Thursday night game, I played the wrong D, as you can see there. I did take a lead, but however, when Phil's players got going in the 9 PM games, it was really signed, sealed, delivered. So Chris, please go ahead.
Yes, it matters. We better get your timer out because it's it. Right, yes, it matters not. No, it's it. And again, here we go. We talk again about Phil's Holy Trinity, as I say. Yeah. Every week, the 2 running backs and the QB. We've been talking about this for 5 years in this podcast. It makes all the difference when you've got all 3 of those players playing well. And that's the difference really here, is that you've got a fairly similar on QB, get down to running backs, and you've got 4 points, and you're putting 1 in negative figures for you. That obviously is...
Second week in a row I've had a player injure their ankle and fumble and finish negative points. Second week in a row.
Might as well not bothered. Yeah. And then when you've got someone in negative points like that, it's always going to be a tough one. One thing I'm not particularly impressed with right now are Phil's receivers. But aside from Michael Thomas,
they're not doing it. Fine. Godwin we highlighted was an odd start.
Yes,
I
agree.
They had.
Who else did they have?
We looked at Marvin Jones. I think I didn't do any better. But nothing was very inspiring. It was all about the same. But it's an issue for the.
But I say when you have someone like Gurley, when you have Adrian Peterson, who seems to be back to a semblance of his former self. Michael Thomas, who's obviously a beast. And then when you got the Rams D, who, let's be honest, they score some crazy points. You're on for a winner. You don't necessarily need to have good players in every position, which he clearly, I say, aside from Allen and Olsen were fantasy studs at one point, but this year, not quite so.
Yeah, it's a case of one spreading, the offense is spreading around too much. And one's over the hill.
Yeah, exactly that. And on your side, Landry and Hilton done their best, but other than that, the damage was done really. No running backs. Kyle Rudolph is not the 2012 Pro Bowl MVP that we wanted.
Wrong decision of defense, which already cost me 30
exactly that. And Taylor Gabriel didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, disappointing. But Devin Funchess on the bench as well.
But you've got to try what you can. When you're 0-7. There we go. When you're 0-7, you've got to find some speculative stars.
Exactly, and as we saw last week, I made some quite radical changes to my team after this game. But I do fall to 0-7 while Tuckford's press ahead to 4-3. History of this matchup, Gridiron Gang right here. Like I say, stick with the numbers. I'm 6-8 against Tuckford's now. Well, that one's a bit closer than the others. Next game here, then Pakistan against JR. Pakistan obviously won their first game a few weeks ago, but they lost the one straight after that. Looking to get another win, while JR have been a bit of a streaky team, it's definitely fair to say. But when they're up, they are certainly up. In this one, it was a pretty good game in the end. Not particularly high scoring, but a good contest, I think it's fair to say. Ross does take it 91 to 83. As you can see, it was pretty close early on, but come the 9 PM games, Ross kind of just went away with it. Pat tried to stage a late comeback on Monday night, nearly completed it. We'll see who that is in a second, but fell just short. And that player was Tevin Coleman, who chipped in 15 points. So, Chris, please review this game.
Oh, Pat. So let's talk about the clear and obvious problems, which is 1 yard. 1 yard's production for LaShawn McCoy. Yes, he got injured, but 1 yard alone. Yes, that's not a single reason why he lost this game, but look, it doesn't help. I do like the fact that Kerryon Johnson's playing. That was a bold move to pick him up and start him. So well worth the ad there. So congratulations on that one. But yeah, other than that, the Bills got roasted. It tells you a lot when your kick is your 4th highest scorer as well, which is kind of difficult.
Yeah, and Cameron Brait, spot start for Rob Gronkowski.
Not good.
There were better tight ends out there as well,
I'm afraid so. Other than that, there's not a lot to be very positive about. On the other side, Ross, he's managed to keep it going somehow.
Andrew Luck rounding into form has really... we've always kind of criticised Ross's team for being, in past, Brady or bust, which it very much was. If Brady didn't perform well, they absolutely stunk the joint. Andrew Luck, Now, walking into that mould, I do think that there is a better surrounding talent that didn't turn up this week.
Yeah,
but Luck is becoming that type of player.
If it's not Luck, it's Zeke. If it's not Zeke, it's Evans. And if it's not Evans, it's Ebron. I don't know why Ebron's the thing now.
The Texans D have actually had some big weeks.
They've turned up. Greg Zerline's back, so you're going to want 10 points a week from him. So yeah, in fact, it's 91 points, but that's without Zeke really doing anything. So if he's
playing Alfred Blue, can we just say?
Yes, which is all rather bizarre, but it's not as bizarre as picking Lamar Miller up for 50 points. But and then let's just have a look at the bench. It was 15 seconds left.
Sure.
So is there anything else on that bench?
Dion Lewis on Pat's.
Oh, and Cooper Kupp's still to come back, of course, which is always nice.
Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper,
traded
yes.
to the Cowboys.
Yeah, let's never talk about that.
Yeah, first round draft pick.
Can we just say
the Cowboys sent to the Raiders for Amari Cooper. The same Amari Cooper that's never lived up to potential. Apparently doesn't love football. Sounds like a first round pick for me.
That's it. You can see why Jerry Jones likes him. Just doesn't like football. But Jerry Jones loves football. He's a football guy. He's always wanted to be in football, and he then picks up that. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. But
that team needed a receiver. But I saw a very funny tweet that encapsulated why it was a bad trade. Because if Jerry Jones had gone to every team in the NFL and said, "I will give you a first-round pick for a wide receiver," he would have got 10 better receivers than Amari
exactly.
Cooper.
Well, precisely that.
And that is why it's a very bad trade.
Yeah, well, quite. That's it. Honestly, John Gruden's going straight in on that draft next year. He's loving life.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is loving life because he's got 3 first-round picks now, and the Las Vegas Raiders, whatever it will be, eventually, they're going to be they're going to be stacked with college talent.
That's for sure. That's what we like to see.
Wow, just what you want to see in the NFL, college talent.
But Ross actually goes 2-2 with Pakistan.
Really? Well, there you go. Congratulations. In that was a fairly underwhelming game as well.
Hello to our 2 listeners. Please comment on the YouTube chat if you would like to do so, and we will talk with you live on air. Next game, final game of last week, then ADRZ against Obi-Wan Kenobi. This turned out to be a pretty good game, and ADRZ has really been a really good team. I think it's fair to say, under the radar good team this year, and they have another really good week, 130 points. Meanwhile, as you said last week, the correction is happening for Ollie Gardner. He has lost 4 in a row now, and I think that does quite rightly show the team isn't quite up to snuff. Again, surprising even given they've got Patrick Mahomes. So they lose this one, as you can see, kind of close at the start, but really once Nige takes the lead, he never looked back. Please, Chris, give me your review of this game.
This is it, and the thing with Obi-Wan Kenobi is that they do use Patrick Mahomes, and it does kind of paper over the cracks of what is quite an underwhelming team as well. You've got Mahomes who's scoring 40 points, and if you're 96, so your remaining 50 is made up of 9 players, ish, 56, of which none of them are your starting running backs really. Royce Freeman's had a good game this week, but it's only because he's got a touchdown. Is he
which is a very Royce Freeman style line.
Very much so against Arizona, who aren't great this year. In a blowout win, Bilal Powell's not had a great year. Odell Beckham, yes, we like Odell Beckham here, but he's playing Atlanta are weak defensively. So you'd expect a guy like that to be going for big scores. Other than that, I mean, look at that. What's the last 5 players going for? That's it. 15 points. That's it, exactly that. So averaging 5 points. Allen Robinson's been a massive disappointment all year.
I think he's had he's not been great. Certainly hasn't lived up. I think he's had a couple of decent games. That was a groin thing, which again you should have spotted. Yeah, it's not
particularly good there for a guy who was slated at the beginning of the year to be the guy. And look how many players on his team are in losing sides.
That's quite incredible.
A lot.
Yeah.
Well, on the other side, you've got ADRZ who, he bought big in the draft. He bought big for Newton. He bought big for Hunt. He bought big for Hill. But they are paying off. That's it. Largely because Hill and Hunt are in the most explosive offense in the league. Don't get me wrong, Newton will have better games, but when he does cam things. He does cam things,
Certainly,
and he you can't argue with that. Also, Tyrell Williams again. Somehow this is Philip Knight seems to be like joined at the hip. Like, they put guys in somehow, and they somehow perform. And you know, I must admit, fair play to Knight. He's put together a really good team this year.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
With several interesting players.
Yeah.
But I think if Hunt, Hill, and Newton don't perform, his whole team doesn't perform, and that's a problem.
I'd agree with that. I mean, if you told someone that you're starting Frank Gore and Albert Wilson in fantasy, they'd say you're having a very depressing season.
What are you doing? Yes, exactly that.
But that's opposite the case. Yeah, Albert Wilson, just by the way, did injure his ankle, believed to be a season ender as well.
Let's have a bench look at this as well, because you know,
especially just as on a bye. You know, Gordon wasn't used.
No,
so interesting decision there. But yeah, there we go.
That's it.
So that is. Sorry, we'll just recap the history of that matchup. So they were playing Obi-Wan Kenobi. So ADRZ is now 2-1 all time against Willie Gardner. So those were your last week's games. We will now mosey on to, if I can open my phone and check the schedule, the power rankings, I believe. Power rankings indeed. So
we've been through the format before. We know.
We have.
We know this format off by heart now. We've been doing it for the last 9 weeks.
Just like to make sure I'm on schedule and don't skip anything. That's what the process is
exactly
for.
That.
Grenadier Gang 4-12, which is fair enough.
That's all you can say, isn't it? If anyone else is below you couldn't justify that.
Yeah, no, Padasan at 11, that's really just a tie 11, it's probably fair to say, but yeah, he's going no higher than that. Obi-Wan Kenobi 10, I think a fair reflection of what we've been saying all year long. Footfly is up 1, not the best team, but I think, as we said last week, anywhere between 6 and 9.
Oh, I'm higher than that, yes.
JR at 8, inconsistent team. Ben Assist is at 7. They have these dud weeks, so I think that's probably a fair assessment. But Lene is at 6, a solid, if unspectacular side. Ixan at 5, that's a questionable.
How?
Dream Team at 4, I think that's fair enough. Like you say, they're a solid team. Probably not one of the next 3. The top 5 is Tom Science and ADRZ.
Yeah, I do think now that the league will probably end up, the 4 that go to the playoffs will probably be as is there.
Yeah, it's probably a good shout. Or have the records going for them.
Yeah,
minus the top.
I think they probably are the strongest team. Tuck Fires, I'm Phil's biggest fan, because I do think that he deserves a win. Of all of those 4, eventually he's got to win it. Surely to, but you know, you can't knock the fact that his team. We'll see in a minute. Again, I don't know why they underperform. Because they shouldn't do. There's enough talent there to perform. They should be on the same level as the Tyrants and ADRZ, but they're not, and I don't get it. You know, the Dream Team really are in a league of their own.
It's the coach. It's always the coach.
Oh, rinsed. They are. Phil, what are you going to say about that?
I mean, I can't really comment at the moment, but with my pundit's hat on, it's the coach, as it has been ever since we've gone to a 12 team.
Yeah.
So that's Barrack, you can go check those out on the LSU Report blog now, if you would like to. But we will move on to our milestones and deep dive section, which is where Chris goes quiet for a bit.
This is I get to rest my voice for 10 minutes, and then you get to hear me for another 12. So
we'll look at them. We've got a few nice round numbers this week. Some good, some not so good. Tom notched his 70th regular season win. That's a great achievement. Congrats to you. Ben also notches his 70th career win, as we can see over here. Like you say, probably not the way he would have wanted to do it, but it all counts. We and you jointly together joined the 70 regular season loss club.
Look at that. We were the first in it.
Exactly. So. It's kind of, I think it's a bit, fitting that neither of us go into it individually. We both go into it.
But the thing that matters, I don't care how many we've lost. We have both won a Corona Bowl.
Yes.
So there.
Yes, there you go.
So there.
You go. Other than that, no more nice round numbers there. So we will go to our deep dive section
Names
now.
on the trophy, mate. That's
exactly.
70 regular season.
Is it though for you yet? Have you done it yet?
No.
No, so my name is, but yours is pending.
Mine will be on the trophy by the time that I have to give it back.
So we look at the standings now. Tom's Tyrants at 5-2, leading up the league and the division. With the next closest to Ross at 4-3, having a good season. But Adelaide is 0-4, as well as Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're starting to slip behind a bit now. In the Portsmouth division, it's a pretty strong one. ADRZ and Ixan at 5-2. ADRZ with strong points forward, as you can see. Ben with that low point total. Has had a few lucky weeks.
Man.
Tokfard's at 4 and 3. Again, with a lot of points forward there, but not translating as much in the wins, and you at 3 and 4 at the bottom. Winchester Division, Dream Team coasting along at 5 and 2 with Bennett Necessities right on their heels at 4 and 3. Pakistan and Gridiron Gang at 1, 6 and 0 and 7 respectively. So
Can I just say you're being pumped for points there? Look at that.
I am.
That is
part of my issue.
Look at this. As a demolition job in that league, in that division rather. Look at that. That's nearly 200 points different.
Yep.
What on earth is that about?
The only other team to consider over 800, Tom, who's
score his way out of it, but
yeah,
wow.
Not so lucky.
Wow.
There you go. So we look at the breakdown now, which, as we like to know, shows a bit scratches beneath the surface of how good teams are. ADRZ, 2 weeks on a trot, they would have beaten everyone. So that shows you how good they are at the moment. Tom's Tyrants right behind. They've only had a couple of really bad weeks. The others have really been good. Tokfards, as you've been saying, a bit inconsistent. Whatever reason the wins aren't translating, that shows, as you can see there in the 3 weeks before the last week. JR, surprisingly, doing quite well in this metric. They do have boom or bust weeks, but they've had some really good weeks along the way. The Dream Team, which backs up your narrative, Chris, they're a strong team, but probably not one of the best. You can see in the breakdown there, they've had a couple of weeks where they were really nearly winning every game, but other than that, it's been middle of the road. The Detonators, they're very much a middle of the road team, as you can see there. Ben Estes, it's feast or famine. You can see right there, 8 and 3 and 11. No, 8 and 3, 2 and 9, 9 and 2, 0 and 11. So you'll never know what you're going to get with the Ben Necessities team. Forward Flyers, again, bit of a middle of a road team, not really punching high. You can see you had an 8 and 3 1 last week, which is good, in a 7 and 4. But other than that, not much to
39 for the season, though.
Yeah,
so
right around 500.
Straight
and
in.
Ixan, is, again, this sports your narrative, Chris. 1 and 10 5 weeks ago. This doesn't go back to week 1 now. It goes back to week 2. Sorry.
Honestly, I know this guy just bought like an expensive house, but honestly, he might as well have bought a caravan. That's it. He won't like me for saying it either. So that's it. Ben has a bit of gypsy in him, so it's coming out this year. It's coming out this year. So you know what you mean, Ben. That's it. He's got a bit of native traveller in him from many generations ago, but it comes out in fantasy, as has been proven here.
Yeah. Ollie Gardner then at 10th, and again, just highlighting what we've been saying. They've been punching a bit, and that fairly shows where they are, as their record more does now. Gridiron Gang at 11. It's been a bad last 3 weeks really, but before that not so bad. And Pakistan just perennially bad, it's fair to say.
Yes. I can't believe that Pat is worse than you. But I suppose you've been pumped, haven't you, for points?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've in weeks 1 to 4, I was scoring pretty well. Last 3 have been a bit more rough, but Pat's not been really scoring well at all.
No, that is true. That is true. So I like it, Pat.
Yeah, coach ranking now. So the points on the bench. JR at 1.
What?
Ross. But remember that this does, factor in that if your bench is crap, it's going to come through as looking good here.
Ross, you look fantastic here, mate. I don't know if your bench is crap. We'll check in a minute. It probably is.
It is crap. Well, just right. Think about this. Who was he start? He was starting Robbie Anderson.
Oh yes.
And what was the other gypsy running back he started last week?
Oh,
I can't even remember.
We'll find out in a minute.
Well, no, because we've already gotten the recaps.
I mean, they'll still be on his team.
Maybe.
maybe they won't.
Oh, it was Alfred Blow. Right.
Oh, of course.
So that tells you what you need to have. Those 2 are starting. Just imagine what the bench looks like. Okay. ADRZ, they are doing a fine coaching job. However,
yes, I agree.
Tom's Torrance as well.
Yeah.
Gridiron Gang. I've been leaving a few points on my bench last few weeks, but not a lot to speak of on my bench.
Another 0 this week for the Flyers. There we go. Look at that. Didn't mean a thing, but
Ixana, they're at 6th, 90.
We're still above him.
So right next to them. They're nearly dead level, actually. It was just quite incredible. But Ed Nader's 100, Ben Associates 124. You can kind of see last week, as we
Ouch.
already covered, that they should have really won that game. Dream Team, we've been saying they're a good, not great team. The coach stat would seem to say that's probably not the case. However, I think we agree they're more of the deeper as opposed to top heavy team, so you're probably going to see that. But there is still a coaching problem there. Palestine as well. And
Obi-Wan Kenobi, got caught out by Mahomes earlier on in the year.
Yeah. And the true ranking, you can see power pretty much forms what you'd expect. That top 5, maybe except for Ross, is what you'd expect.
Yeah, fair play to Ross.
Yeah, fair play though, absolutely.
This is the thing. Last year we slagged Ross off not trying hard enough. Now he's actually trying. And he's showing. So.
He's actually adding players. He's not quite got to the level of actually thinking about who he's adding. He's just going on the top available.
That's it.
But that's a step in the right direction, Ross. We're not criticising.
That's it. It is a very good start. So.
And that is your deep dive section. So we will now go to, presumably,
this week's previews. We're going to do it. We're going to do this. We got 14 minutes to the hour, people, so let's be having you.
18, but almost.
18?
Nice maths.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, that's terrible maths.
Right, we have to pick a marquee matchup, and it might not be so marquee based on pre-show plans, because we have Grenadier against Palestine, but then Naders against JR, Tom Torrance against Obi-Wan Kenobi, Tuck Fuds against ADRZ, Ixan against Ford Flies, the Friendship Bowl, and the Dream Team against Benes.
Well, I think that there are a few candidates here. I think you versus Pat is massive for both your seasons, because it kickstart either one of them, and also prevents you from going 8-0, which is unprecedented, terrible. Tom's Tyrant Obi-Wan Kenobi is like the best team versus the luckiest team, or the highest scoring against the lowest scoring against. That's quite interesting. Me versus Ben is interesting because of the history there. But I think that Tuckfard's ADRZ actually has a massive implication to the year.
It does.
As much as I want to go for yours and Pat's, which is for very similar reasons important, I think for the teams that actually matter this year, this is going to be the one.
Let's go with it. So ADRZ take on the Tuckfards in this week's marquee matchup. ADRZ win 2 on the trot. They are currently leading their division, the Portsmouth division. But this is a divisional week, so the Tuckfards are right on their heels at 4-3, getting back on the horse of the win last week. Projections currently have this one 193. Let's see if there's any injury notes. And Lamar Miller, he's back from his chest injury and the waiver wire now. And on the other side of the ball, everything looking healthy there. History of this matchup: ADRZ are 6-3 all time against Tuckfards.
Well, there
what we say about the numbers, people.
The numbers.
Chris, please preview this game.
Okay, so I think that this week, the QBs that have been selected this week, you couldn't really get much better opposition. I think New Orleans represents a really decent matchup for the Vikings, but I think Tampa is a very good matchup, especially at home for Cincinnati. I think Dalton's been a fairly serviceable QB throughout the course of the year, albeit didn't have a great week last week. Every time that Nigel's played him, he's seamlessly turned up. And I always say that I like Andy Dalton QBing Andy Dalton red zone, because that seems to me a little bit poetic. So let's have a look down the rest of them. LeGarrette Blount's come in, which against Seattle, which is an interesting one. If he doesn't get a touchdown, he's pretty useless. So again, Hunt and Hill back against Denver. Denver are tough, but
they can be exposed. I think, especially they're at home in Kansas.
Exactly that. That's the benefit, and I don't think they're going to struggle quite as hard as one would want to make out. Against Michigan, against Cleveland at home, I'd like that.
The biggest two problems I have with ADRZ is Josh Gordon, which like the player, but playing a tough Buffalo D.
Yeah, and you don't know what you're getting.
No,
you don't know what you're getting.
And Vikings D against the wall.
Absolutely, which is the same thing. I was in the same boat last week with the Ravens, and it didn't work out. On the other side, the Chiefs D against Denver, big play there. Seeing as the Chiefs D have been rubbish, but you never know what Case Keenum's going to come out. So who knows? And Lamar Miller's gone straight in.
He's going to spy me and go for 25 points.
Big sign in. Olsen against Bolt, I hate. Godwin against Cincinnati for Tampa against.
I can't believe Godwin is still in the starting.
I know, considering the sort of what he's got.
You got Will Fuller. I know Will Fuller's not great, but
he's better. I think
surely there's someone better on the waiver wire. Is my issue.
I even think Westbrook at home. I know the QB has been rubbish, but he might have his day. But at the same time, the Tuck Files have been very good recently. It just depends how good the Chiefs are, and that's how good Andy Dalton Red Zone will be.
Who are you picking?
Tuck Files.
You going Tuck Files?
I'm going Tuck Files because the numbers are there.
I'm going ADSG because the history is there.
Ooh. There we go. We shall see.
Numbers don't lie, people.
They do not.
Next game then, the Friendship Bowl. Fudge Flyers take on Ixan. So Ixan's somewhat fortunate, 5-2, but they have won 3 in a row now.
That's it.
While Chris is 2, sliding backwards, needs this to really keep up in the division, it's fair to say. Projections currently have this one as an Ixan win, 98-86.
Yeah, my laughably low figures.
Let's take a look at the history. You're 7-3 all time against Ixan.
Well, that's good.
So that bodes well.
I like that.
Looking down the lineups, we got any injury news to speak of? Not on your side,
No.
Chris. On Ben's side, Aaron Rodgers is back to full health now. Crowell played through his injury last week, so he should be okay. And Hopkins also played through his, so all those signing lines should be good to go. Chris, please preview this game.
What worries me somewhat is Aaron Rodgers, because I think that game in LA is going to be a shootout. And
I don't know. It's good LAD.
It is, but
Away from home, too.
Yeah, it's been seen though, isn't it? We said that about the Vikings, and the Vikings went big there as well. So, and they're quite a similar sort of team. So I fear for that, because I've always said with Ben's team, if Rodgers plays well, then the whole team is set.
Mm-hmm.
Woods is also there in the same game. And although I've said to him earlier in the year that he's a pretty beige player, he's pretty boring. He's pretty consistent this year as well, annoyingly. But there are something I don't like. I think Crowell's very boom or bust. He's either going for 20 points or nothing. Chris Ivory against New England again, same stories. Will he be able to last 4 quarters of football, or will he be able to last 4 minutes?
And even that, will he actually do anything?
Exactly that. Questions. James White again against Buffalo. It's not the greatest matchup there for him as well.
No, pass catching running backs is those tough runnies. Maybe a little better, but yeah, it's not like
That's it. But with Gronk out, maybe he might.
And with Michelle out too.
And that. So we shall see. On the other side, pretty much the same for us. It's I got Cooks in the same game as Rodgers and Woods, so let's just hope Cooks outscores Woods. Shepard's been playing well recently, so's Brown, so's Kittle. And Mixon, if the running backs can actually wake up this week and score some touchdowns, then we're looking good. Cam's pretty turnover prone, so I like the Ravens there. And Harrison Buck has been a real light and revelation at kickers. So, 86 points is a laughably low figure for
I think
for
it's been
team.
a bit hard done by them.
But I'm going to go for my team because I scored 112 points last week with the same team. Ben scored 75, so simple as that.
I'm going to go with your team too. Numbers back it up.
Yeah.
But that's not the only reason going. It's because Ixan's a wildly inconsistent and slightly underwhelming team.
Yes.
Thanks for the say. Next game then. Let's go on to the Dream Team versus Bare Necessities. Now this is a key battle because basically it's a 2-horse race in the Winchester division. Viv's leading it now. He could get a 2-game lead, or Bare Necessities could tie it up. Viv's 5-2 on a 5-game win streak. Bare Necessities lose a disappointing game they probably should have won last week, and they're 4-3. Projections have this one as relatively close, 99-92 in favour of Bare Necessities. Let's take a look at the history of the matchup real quick. Let's see here, 7-6 all time. So for Bare Necessities over the Dream Team, so pretty split. Looking at the lineups, any injuries news to speak of? Nothing on Dream Team's side of the ball. They're missing their D.
Should probably replace that.
Yeah, should probably replace
now,
that.
at the moment, let's see, because we can do this these days. The current
highest projected D
is the Cardinals against San Francisco, which, to be fair, isn't the worst.
7 points, so that ties. So it's a close game in the projections too, if you factor that in.
That's it.
On Ben Necessity's side of the ball, they were without the starting quarterback and Matt Ryan this week, so Mitch Trubisky comes in. Marlon Mack comes in after his big week too. No injuries to speak of there though. Chris, please preview this key game for me.
Well, that's it. There's not a great deal of difference in terms of the projection between the two. And if we say either the Cardinals against San Fran, or we go the 49ers against Arizona, which is pretty good, or the Bengals against Tampa, either one of them, they could score quite well. So what I've always liked about the Dream Team's team is that they do now have a set of receivers which, fantasy-wise, can score every week. I like, obviously, Green, Thielen, and now Edelman, with a lack of receiving options in New England. it's got a lot of appeal to me, and so does Ertz. He will undoubtedly improve. Maybe not against Jacksonville, but they do have a weak spot, and that is tight end. So, so yeah, if there's one game that's going to perform, it's there. Kamara will always score points. Yes, Ingram's come back in, but hasn't really made too much of a dent to his production. Latavius Murray had a massive game last week against New Orleans. He's got the potential to do the same thing this week. And Brady against Buffalo, well, Brady does Brady stuff.
He owns Buffalo.
He does. So on the other side, Trubisky comes in. You can see why. I like Bears fan playing Trubisky. I like that.
Yeah, running gives him a stable floor too.
For sure. And he had a great game last week. And I think against the Jets, he's got the potential to do the same thing again. Johnson against San Fran and Mack against the laughably terrible Oakland. Again, that's going to be great couple of games for them. Tate against Seattle. You don't know what you're going to get every week, but he's got the potential to be big. Boyd against Tampa Bay, same thing. See, terrible D, plenty of yards to be had there. Oh, it's tough. But I think Ben Necessities might well have the better matchups here, maybe, especially on D as well. Like Steelers, that's a good matchup too. It might just come down to one player, actually.
It is, and I'm going to tell you who that player is, because I'm going to go Ben Necessities as well. It's going to come down to David Johnson. Why David Johnson? The David Johnson that's been very mediocre all year long?
Because he's going to San Francisco?
No. Because Byron Leftwich has taken over as the offensive coordinator after Mike McCoy got fired.
There you go.
He is going to make a point to use David Johnson like David Johnson should be used in space, catching the balls as well. He's going to go off this week.
Oh, big time.
He's going to win Ben Necessities.
I do like it. I do like it.
There you go. Next game then, it's the Battle of the Bad. Gridiron Gang versus Pakistan. 0-7 versus 1-6 combined. 1-13 record.
How do you begin to review this game?
I'll give you a few minutes to prep while I set it up. Projections for this one have it at 87-78. What a scorer.
Wow.
Not really. Looking down any injury news, Matt Breda has his ankle injury, which is bad news to me because I don't have another running back on my team that I can use at the moment. Yippee.
Yeah. Well, it's better than using him last week. You might as well have not played him.
This is true. Other than that, clean bill of health on Pakistan side of the ball. Sean McCoy obviously has his concussion, so he'll likely be down the player as well. Taking comments on a bye, so he'll need to come out of the lineup.
That's
for probably Wendell Smallwood, I guess.
And one.
Gronk might be back too. We'll have to monitor that one. Fournette almost certainly will be out. History of this matchup: Gridiron Gang are 4-0 all time against Pakistan. The numbers bode well for me. Will it come through? Who knows? Chris, please preview this game.
Look, if McCoy and Coleman don't play and he still has to play Brait, then you've got a team there with three, basically carrying three players. And look, you bring Smallwood back in. Who else is he going to bring in? Look, let's have a look down there. Who else is he going to bring in? If you bring a Smallwood in, he's going to bring in
Kirk. That's what we can bring in.
Okay, well that could be okay. I mean, look, no, it doesn't inspire me with confidence. Whilst you've got Roethlisberger at home, you've got Doug Martin, who's now going to be the featured back. You've got Landry, who's the clear number one in Cleveland. You've got Funchess, who's the only target in Carolina, albeit against Bolt D. But it's it.
Tyler Gabriel.
You've got to throw to somebody. Hilton against what we've just described as the laughably bad Oakland D, which it is, and Gostkowski and the Patriots D against Buffalo in Buffalo, where it doesn't really matter where they play Buffalo, they're going to win. So look, I just think that if there's one week that you're going to be able to win a game, it's this one, because everything is going your way. I'm very sorry, Pat, but that is not a good team what you're going to put out this week. Especially,
it might be liable to change by Sunday. But I imagine he's going to pick a different.
It only goes down. The quality goes down, and that's the problem. And
saying that he's going to need Smallwood for McCoy and Kirk, so he's pretty much maxed in.
Precisely that. So you can't take anything else on. I mean, look, if you don't win this week, something is badly happening. Three of your players.
I have pissed off someone with great power somewhere.
Very much so. I hate to say it. So yeah, this is a Gridiron Gang win. Every single day of the week. I took a master. But yeah, that's it. I have to say that if you can't win this game, you won't win one all year.
Well, I've got another game against Pat.
Well, even so, he'll have 3 players back from then.
True. Yeah, I'm picking my team as well. I've been fair and not picked my team.
You have
pretty
to
much every season, but this week
it would be too
I'm
nice
back
of
myself.
you.
And the numbers back my team.
Oh
so.
man, absolutely.
But then let's take on JR in our next game then. 3 and 4 team against a 4 and 3 team. Again, JR looking to keep up in the division with high flying Tom's Tyrants, while but then they really need a win to really stay alive there too. Projections have them winning this at 102 to 88 currently. And if we look down the starting lineups, I don't think there's any injuries on Bedetne's side of the ball. On Ross's side of the ball,
Oh, Cooper Cut's back.
he is back in.
And Chris Thompson's back. Ooh.
Yeah.
Alfred Blue is still there, though.
How disappointing. He could have actually added Lamar Miller. Can we just observe that for a
He
second?
could have, but he would have had to spend 51 coin.
Please preview this game.
Oh, man. Okay, so let's talk QBs then for a second. So, we saw Winston last week have an up and down game. In real life, maybe fantasy points didn't really make too much of a difference because he did score quite well, but he could have scored very, very well had he have not thrown loads of picks and been Jameis Winston. On the other side, you've got Andrew Luck against the, and I'm going to say it again, the laughably bad Oakland defence. And we've seen Andrew Luck last week score 30 points against not the laughably bad Oakland defence. And I quite like the fact that he's playing there again. However, the rest of that team doesn't really inspire me too much. I think Evans has potential to do something. Demaryius Thomas has just not looked himself all year, but he's playing Kansas in Kansas, which potentially could be big. They haven't been great on D this year. Cooper Cut's back to the touchdown machine. Alfred Blue and Thompson doesn't make my it just doesn't fill me with any confidence at all. On the other side, you've got McCaffrey, Barkley, and Tariq Cohen, who are all the same sort of running back. But they all seem to score lots of points, which is great. So I think that if you look as a direct comparison, are you going to pick Blue and Thompson over McCaffrey and Barkley? The answer is no. Jeffrey coming back into the team is a real bonus, but I think this week against Jacksonville's tough. Diggs against New Orleans.
He's going to have a good week.
It should be this one. Jordan Reed against the Giants. Jordan Reed's always difficult to predict. And the Jags against Philly, well, they haven't really looked very Jaguar-like over the last 3 or 4 games.
London might be a different story. They always seem to play well in London.
This is true.
Yeah, you're right. They have not been good the last few weeks.
But I think Bedetne's are going to win the game simply because they got better players.
That's usually what happens. The history of this one is 3-2 in favour of Bedetne's all the time. It's pretty split, but yeah, I mean, I can't within the power within me pick a team to win if they're playing Alfred Blue. I'm sorry, Ross.
No.
And Demaryius, like you already hit on it, Demaryius Thompson, great. Cooper Cup might not be back, even if he is, he will help.
The one thing that I will say is that if Ross may have to lean on DST and kicker, because that's quite strong there.
Yeah. And our last game of the week, Tom Sirens against Obi-Wan Kenobi. One's on a 3-game win streak, the other's on a 4-game slide. 5-2 against 3 and 4. Tom brought Ollie into the league, and he might be about to put him into his place. Projections in this one currently have it at 95 to 69. I'm going to hazard a guess there's some injury and bye things going on here. There is indeed. Injury-wise, looking okay on Tom's side. On Obi-Wan Kenobi's side, I believe Bilal Powell left the game injured last week, as did Royce Freeman, I think.
Oh dear.
Corey Davis is on a bye. Other than that, nothing else there. Look at the options on the bench. Cook's not going to come back.
No.
So it's Carson and Jones who are probably going to come in there. History of this matchup, probably not a lot, but let's look at it all the same. Tom's Tyrants are 2-0 all time against Ollie Gardner. Chris, please give me the final preview for this game.
I don't think it matters a great deal here. I'm going to try and get this done in a minute because I say this again. It's Patrick Mahomes or bust for Obi-Wan Kenobi. They haven't got anybody else apart from Odell this week who I really like. So don't like the running backs, don't like the receivers, and maybe the D. Maybe that's it. Otherwise, Tom's Tyrants, they only add quality. You've got Connors coming back in. Chubb's playing against Pittsburgh, which they haven't been that great on D this year. Case Keenum against Kansas, it's an interesting spot start. I think it'd be interesting to see how he gets on. But again, if there's one D to play against in what will probably be a throw fest, then
exactly.
Go for it.
They profile as someone who's a team who's going to be chasing points.
Devontae Adams again in the throw fest. Emmanuel Sanders in the same throw fest as I like the word throw fest. I like that. Trey Burton's been pretty consistent.
Copyright that.
I do. Trey Burton's been pretty consistent. Golladay's been a touchdown machine when he's been playing. Seattle aren't great on D. They're certainly not what they used to be. Randy Bullock's going to have PATs coming out of his arsehole. And Colts against Oakland again, laughing about Oakland.
Not
offense.
the best seed, but I do like the start.
I do. So I think Thomas Tyrant is a comfortable winner against Obi-Wan Kenobi, and which should be really just find a way to get Pat Mahomes in that team name, because if it's not him, it's no one.
Yeah, I agree. Tom is going to win this game too.
Yeah.
We've had a comment from, I think, Nige, Mr. Snow White.
Hello,
007.
Might well be.
Hi gents, great show. May I say that I think Chris has been unlucky over the last couple of weeks. Quick question for you. What do you think of Jakeem Grant being the only viable wide receiver from Miami?
I don't think he's the only viable wide receiver for Miami at all.
No, because you have a guy named Danny Playoff Amendola there, who is God, is going to see about 12 targets this week. So if you're looking for a Miami receiver, he is your guy, Nige.
It's not Albert Wilson. You're going to try them all.
Yeah, Jakeem Grant, he's an interesting player, very boom or bust. He might get a long touchdown, but that's probably it. Kenny Stills is the other one who I've obviously now dropped as well. I guess Kenny Stills may be the floor guy. He's as close as you're going to get to a floor guy other than Amendola, who will be on the floor but might have a decent week this week.
The tight end's worth a pick up.
What, Mike Gesicki?
Yeah, I'd pick him up.
I'd go Stills over that.
Yeah, I don't know. The problem is with all those receivers, you still have Ryan Tannehill, QB of the team, and Brock Osweiler.
At the moment, it's
QB of the which one would you rather have? Is what I can say. Osweiler or Tannehill.
Is there an option for me to shoot myself?
Well, there is now. Yeah,
I'm taking that one.
That's the way out. So yeah, if it's not Tannehill, it's Osweiler, and if it's not Osweiler, it's Tannehill, and all the value of every receiver on that team goes down when it's one of them.
Yeah.
So.
But Stills is probably the one.
Don't pick any of them up. is our thing. Any other questions before we go? Because this is the end of the show now.
Yeah, this is the end of the show. I'm not seeing any more questions, so we're just gonna.
See, if you have any more questions for us, though, we will answer them next week.
Absolutely.
With the benefit of hindsight, of course, when all of the Miami receivers score a touchdown this week.
Like Still did straight after I dropped him.
There you go.
Which is poetic.
All I can say is that if Nath drops him, make sure you pick him up because they will score for you.
Exactly. I've been Commissioner Stubbs and this is co-host Chris Leach. We will catch you on the flip side. Good luck this weekend.
Absolutely. Apart from you, Ben.
I'm Pat.